Welcome to the conversation on News Central Television. This is the program where we bring you up to speed with all the political happenings on the African continent. I am Gbenga Aborowa.
And I am Rita Omodia. It's barely 10 days to Nigerian elections, but on today's edition of the conversation, we will be starting off in Uganda, where some opposition lawmakers in the country have been granted bail after 18 months in jail for alleged murder, an accusation that has been tagged as politically motivated by the government.
Now, in a related development, but this time in Tunisia, there have also been accusations of opposition crackdown after President Kais Saied allegedly ordered the arrest of several opposition leaders and critics of his government.
Gbenga, I do not know what is happening. We've had the same situation in Zimbabwe, talking about crackdown opposition. Even in Nigeria, well, supposedly we're seeing that happening. Even in Surulere, Lagos, Nigeria, we had that some people were attacked today by supposed thugs, and now we're seeing that in Tunisia. And Tunisia has been on the news for a long time by Kais Saied.
It doesn't all go well for the state of democracy in Nigeria. So what we've seen in Tunisia is this. The president has assumed more authority than constitutionally prescribed. It's almost like the judge, jury, is the executive, legislature, and the judiciary. But now it's taken another turn because we've now started seeing a crackdown on opposition and arrest, which was not there before. But I'm sure when we get into the conversation proper, we'll have more details.
Definitely. We will have those details, and I wonder why exactly he's taking that particular strategy. I mean, from dissolving parliament to now crackdown opposition. And even in Uganda, I'm sure the families of the MPs been released on bail on Monday would actually be happy. For 18 months being in jail, it's not easy.
It doesn't all go well for the state of democracy in Africa.
All right. Okay, so let's begin conversations right now. In Tunisia, yes, Kais Saied is making the news at this present time. As well, it seems that the opposition crackdown is not peculiar to Uganda alone, as the case is the same in Tunisia. The North African country is witnessing another series of arrests of opposition parties and critics of Kais Saied government. On Monday evening, one of the most prominent figures within Tunisia's another opposition party, Noureddine Bhiri, and the head of radio station Mosaique FM, Noureddine Boutar, were both detained by police. This is coming days after another wave of detentions over the weekend, which included activists, lawyers, and an influential businessman.
Now, President Kais Saied in 2021 made a dramatic move in government when he suddenly shut down the parliament and ruling by decree before rewriting the constitution in 2022, which has been widely condemned by his opponents as a constitutional coup. On Tuesday, the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Volker Turk, expressed concern over the crackdown on critics and the judicial process that continue to undermine democracy in the birthplace of the Arab Spring. Now, join us to discuss this, we have Abdulateef Ahmed, Head of Research and Monitoring Desk at News Central Television. Warm welcome to you, Abdulateef, and thanks for joining us on the conversation. Now, Abdulateef, according to President Kais Saied, those detained were responsible for food shortages, price increases, as well as intent to fuel social crisis. Can you lead us through the incidents that led to the arrest of these Tunisians? And are we back to pre-Arab Spring days of autocracy?
What we have clearly is President Kais Saied's response to general apathy and disinterest in his government. Don't forget, we are coming from a parliamentary election that was, that had poor participation, which was like a general show from the people of the country as about his acceptance, his acceptability across board. Registering less than 15% voters in elections that meant the life of the populace means that essentially the government is unpopular, and he feels that he needs to take some drastic actions to key into populist ideals or populist sentiments. He is therefore arresting these figures, these political figures, as a way of demonstrating that he is still in control, he's in charge, whatever way, how fictitious the charges may be. what he essentially wants to do is to get more attention to himself and ensure that people who are the mouthpiece of the masses and mobilizers of popular belief and sentiment are not able to galvanize the people to take control of his government, or the speed and understanding and perception of information in the country. Because you see, when you have opposition leaders who key into the wishes and aspirations of the people, what it means is that most of the times they'll be listened to as against whatever comes in from official sources.
Well, he is definitely getting more attention, on international community. But let's go to one of the people that was arrested by Kais Saied. Now, Boutar's Mosaique FM is one of Tunisia's largest and most popular radio stations in the country. Now, you talk about him putting a stop to the opposition parties. Now, this is a radio station and it's popular in Tunisia. How critical have they been against the government? Is it also a crackdown on the press or freedom of speech in Tunisia?
So you see, what happens in democracies that are shaky or faulty is that every source of information that seems to inform or update the masses about the goings-on in the country is seen as anti-government. You could be doing your job as, essentially a source of information to the people, but government wants a different narrative. And unless you key into the narrative of the government, it will continue to see you as the enemy or the saboteur. So what you are having is not necessarily anti-government communication or information being passed via media, but essentially government's response to what it feels is alternative to its own source of information. Government is doing this, a crackdown, which is reminiscent of, dictators. You have people who will rather suppress popular will, popular conversation, and even the estate of the realm that will ordinarily put a spotlight on what is happening in the country will be suppressed. That is what you have between Kais Saied and the radio station that is being prosecuted.
Now, thank you, Abdulateef. Now, looking at the current situation of things in Tunisia, reports have emerged that Tunisians have been suffering for months from shortages of food as sugar, cooking oil, coffee, milk and butter, just basic essentials. Now, we had this arrest, this wave of arrest, and the president is pointing fingers at and saying and trying to scapegoat people that these people are responsible for the hardship. Do you see this as diversionary tactics? And is there any evidence that points to the fact that some of those that have been arrested are responsible for the high cost of living? And just how bad is the state of Tunisia's economy as we speak?
It is a dire situation if you consider the statistics available between last year and this year. Things have worsened over time, and the fact that the government is poorly managing dissent means that everything that is suggested that is not from the mainstream is seen as anti-government. A lot of Tunisians have continued to leave the country compared to what we had 2 years ago. And essentially, the economy has worsened. If you look at the stats from the World Bank that was released in January, what we have is that the government is basically patching up the system and hoping that things will improve. But things does not improve if you do not have a popular participation. Here you already have a legislative arm that is deficient. With poor participation, you still do not have a proper representation. So what you have...
Let's see, sorry to butt in, but those individuals that were arrested, are they connected to why the economy is in a bad state? In any way? Is there any evidence that points to it?
There is no evidence. There are trumped-up charges, like, as the leader of Enada had said. They are totally unrelated. There are no connections. But again, because one person or two persons may be members of certain boards, you would want to link unrelated things to them. They are actually not related. But the president needs an excuse to get people, prosecuted. What you should have, for example, is not merely arresting without, charging them to court. You should charge them to court and allow them to have a fair hearing, and then from the hearing we'll get to know. Again, if the court has been suspended, the judiciary has been suspended, you have the legislative arm has been suspended. Again, there is no chance that those who seek justice from the Ministry of Justice, will be able to get real justice. It will be, essentially walk through towards what the president wants.
Okay, now you talk about the opposition party, and I mean, Kais Saied has been quite critical about the party. And on Monday, we saw the arrest of one of the pillars of the party. First of all, we had the dissolution of the parliament. We've seen protests on judiciary. What has been the reaction from the opposition? What are we to expect? And what also are your concerns over this recent crackdown?
The crackdown are worrisome because the growth of a country will rely on the investments from within and outside the country. Some of those who have been arrested are business moguls, businessmen who have been noted to have impacted the country positively, over the years. Some of them have participated in popular uprisings in the past, funded, the populace towards betterment of government. However, what you have now is general disillusion, from amongst the masses, because those who cannot leave the country are caught between a leader who is repressive and a system that is not giving the right, the right feedback from how much effort they put into the system. Because again, you will realize that people are putting in all the effort they can in their little spheres. The economic reality, the inflation, the hyperinflation, the cost of living, the high cost of living, and lack of improvement in the social conditions of the people means that people will continue to be at the short end of the stick.
Now, finally, Abdulateef, before we let you go, there are reports that some of those held on charges connected to criticizing the government have been tried in the military courts, because you said the courts have been suspended. Now, how true is this? And also, the UN's Rice Chief spokesperson, Volker Turk, did express concern on the crackdown on critics and the judicial process in Tunisia. So, what will stop Kais Saied's march towards autocracy, full-blown autocracy? Because we've seen him chip into the blocks of democracy, and it's becoming more emboldened since when he suspended Parliament last year. We have a new constitution that almost gives him heroic power. So how much influence, now that the United Nations has expressed concern, can the international and pressure, can the international community exert on President Kais Saied to stop this full-blown march to autocracy and, respect principles of rule of law and also democracy?
What we have is sometimes democracy does not give you the best amongst men to lead other men. What you have, however, is someone who should know better, a constitutional lawyer who should understand, the spirit and the letter of the Constitution, riding on popular sentiments to, create a repressive regime or government. We do not know the way out of his oppressive system. However, the fact that the systems, the court systems, the legislative systems are no longer as functional as they used to be means that whatever is happening now will be like a makeshift arrangement. I am not sure when they faced the trial with the military. However, it is a high chance that the military will stand in and do the bidding of the president until it is way more than what they can contain. You see, you will realize that protests have not stopped. People have continued to register their disenchantment with the government. Yeah. And what it means is that the military will read the room, literally, when it is observing that people can no longer stomach whatever is happening. It will decide where to stand between autocratic rule or the need to topple the government. What we hope is that Kais Saied will be able to listen to the voice of reason, allow popular participation, allow alternative views, and allow for people to lead themselves, especially through legislative representation, so that you have a country returning to democracy and egalitarian society.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you so much, Abdulateef Ahmed. Of course, we're looking forward to the next move of Kais Saied. Will he be moved by the international community and by the people of Tunisia and go along with democracy, or will he continue his autocratic movement? Thank you so much for joining us on the
Thank you,
conversation.
Abdulateef.